Good afternoon, guys. Thank you for joining us. And for those that will watch this later, thank you for taking the time out to watch the show. As you can see, we are chilling or talking to Tariq Ganga today. Tariq is one of my very, very good friends that has moved to United States recently. He's plying his trade as a footballer and a college student. So yeah, we're just going to chat to him a bit about his achievements and also sort of unpack how changing cultures, how he adapted to the change of cultures, and how that affects performance, if it does affect performance, and how you navigate changing cultures. So Tariq, thank you very much for joining or for agreeing to this. Anything you want to? Do you want to say something? Introduce yourself.
No. I was gonna say thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Quite, because me and you have we always have these conversations, and I think it's nice that we can, if we are inspired by something, get to share that with the world. So, Tariq, tell us about your achievements, or I'll tell the world about your achievements, or maybe not the world, whoever's watching. So, Tariq has moved to the United States, to a college called Iowa Lakes. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yep.
He's won numerous in the season. He's moved there recently. In the season, he's won numerous national goalkeeper awards, goalkeeper of the week awards. They've also made history by coming to the semi-finals of the national playoffs. Tell us more about that, Tariq. First of all, your goalkeeping awards that you received recently.
Well, I think that wasn't possible without the team, of course, because I mean we have like quite good defenders, so they defended well most of the time, and I
Mm,
mean clean sheets are important, like especially this side because you don't play lots of games, so like um keeping clean sheets, obviously that goal difference at the end of the season definitely makes a massive difference. So I mean, yeah,
mm.
yeah,
So, I mean, you guys came to the semifinals of the national playoff.
yeah.
Um, Tell us about that. Describe it, or just set the context for us how big that is for your school or your
Um,
college.
well, the school started in the '60s. So this year was the first ever time like they actually made it to the like we made it to the national tournament. So that was a massive achievement for the coach and the players because I mean last year they didn't even qualify, like they lost like in the playoffs final,
Mm,
like
mm.
4-0. So this was
Sorry,
definitely.
sorry. So, is there playoffs to get you into the tournament?
Yes. So it's
Okay.
the two top teams
Mm,
in the conference, like in the league,
mm.
they qualify for the playoffs.
Okay.
And fortunately, like we were one of the like we came second in the league. And then we lost to the guys that were first in the league in the semi-final. Yeah,
Okay. Wow.
yeah. 0 again.
Okay.
Yeah,
Unlucky.
yeah.
So, I think you've had a lot of success. You've had a lot of success in such a short period. And I know something that when I was thinking about you and the type of conversations that we have,
Mhm.
it's not easy. You've moved to a different country with different people, different nationalities, um, different training methods.
Yeah.
How were you able? Because I do think you were an integral part of the team accomplishing what the team did. I mean, that's brilliant. You're obviously a team, so it's all of you, but I think you were an integral part of that. How did you navigate the challenges of changing a culture? You literally changed a culture, but your performance stayed at that level. How did you manage to navigate that?
I think for me, I started when I went to Polokwane.
Mm,
Like having like when I joined Polokwane, I feel like that was something that I had to do because it like helped me grow as a soccer player and
mm,
as a person, of course. And then when I came back to Ubuntu last season, I mean, I was out for like the first 7 games,
mm,
and then I played like 16 games
mm,
after the first 7 games, like continuously. And yeah, like obviously it was tough because in the beginning, like when I came to the States, like we had players from Colombia, Venezuela, Brazil, um, Portugal, like England, like we had so many guys, like, and obviously it was hard because I mean, imagine us like 7 months ago we didn't know about each other, and now we have to like form this type of family in the team. But
mm,
luckily we were able to like during the season, like in the beginning it was tough as well, but like as the season went on, we realized how important each other are, man. We knew that if we play together, if we work together, it all obviously make things better. And we
mm,
realized that before nationals. So going into
mm,
nationals, it was
mm,
like okay, we knew how good we are. We knew if
mm,
everyone gel well. We knew if everyone like
mm,
give their part. We knew
mm.
like we can be successful. So I think that was the biggest thing. Yeah, yeah.
Brilliant. And we're going to get to that in a moment. You called it luck. I don't think it is to gel and to start working as a family. I think it takes work. So we'll get to that in a moment. But just to put people into context, Tariq went on a trial to Polokwane and he was actually very successful. Um, but the conditions weren't the greatest, to put it mildly. So it definitely was a change in culture. He had to adapt to the conditions, but he did do that successfully, no matter how hard it was. He tried to push through that, and I think he did do it successfully. So, just to put everybody into that context, you're saying, Tariq, that it was that experience, a difficult experience, that you needed to push through, that sort of helped you in this experience moving to America. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yep. Okay. So now I want to just touch on creating that family. We've had conversations like this. We've had conversations about how to create, and I think that is one of your strengths, being able to bring that family, because that's who you are. You're very relational. So to
Mm.
bring that sort of family value to the team. Um, can you give us some examples of how you've done that while being at the team this season?
Um, I think in the beginning, I think it was super important for me to have that healthy arrogance, man.
Mm.
Like not be a bankhat. I think having that definitely helped me a lot because like on the field, I feel like many of the guys um not necessarily like looked up to me, but they knew how important I was on the team.
Mm.
So an example was that like there's this player from Brazil.
Mm.
He speak Portuguese, so it was hard for him to come into the like American type of way of coaching, like the culture. So me and him would have regular talks like off the field just to find out how he's doing, like how is he coping with the team, because that time he wasn't starting, man. He wasn't starting. He was
Mm.
obviously frustrated. So me and him would like sit down and talk, or we'd go to the shop and get like something to eat, or and then we like, so that, those small things, like that was definitely important, because I mean, not everyone was friendly. So
Mm.
I definitely wanted to help him, because I mean, it was tough for me also. So me and him were like able to talk and like just, like just to unbottle things that's like inside of us. So I think that was important. And I mean, like before the games, I feel like there were moments where like I'd sometimes be the clown of the dressing room, just to that atmosphere, man.
Mm.
So I think, yeah, those are small few things that I did, but I feel like it helped him a lot and the team.
So we look at it as small, absolutely. But I mean, I've been in environments and not just soccer environments. I think one of the difficult things for me to reach my full full potential was the two things you mentioned. I didn't have a healthy arrogance, so I didn't know who I was. So I didn't have a healthy identity, or a healthy outlook on myself. So I think that was one disadvantage, and that sort of had a direct impact on how I treated others. So everybody is I mean, especially in football, it's such a competitive environment that
Mm,
helping somebody else is maybe like number 4 or 5 or number 6 on the list.
yeah,
So you say it's a small thing, and yeah, it is, but I think it's those small things that is so big, because
yeah,
you struggling to adapt to an environment and still to reach out to somebody else and to help somebody else. I think one day we're going to see the ripple effects of how you actually change cultures, or you change the culture of the team, of the organization, by doing those small things. And
mm,
I mean, it's brilliant, the way you carrying yourself, the way you lead, the way you are leading on the field, off the field. I know one of the conversations we've had is around a goalkeeper and a defensive unit, and we've talked about this and said
mm,
you actually have to be like a family.
yeah,
So if it's affecting one person, it's affecting the others. And I mean, you gave the defenders some nice props there. Uh,
yeah.
did you do that over here as well?
Um, I think I definitely, well, I think we definitely spoke a lot on the field before matches.
Mm.
Because I feel like in the American like soccer like circle,
Mm.
there's a lot of tactics involved, how to build up. Like I feel like it's more here than in like South Africa. So
South
um
Africa.
so we would like before the game, like if a coach would say like do this, do that after the meeting, like we would get together in a small huddle, even if it's just me and the captain. We'd say, okay, so if this like if you need to come towards the ball, like don't do it every time. Come every second, like every second goal kick, so that we don't make it obvious. So that was definitely something that we tried to do, is
That's
to,
brilliant.
yeah.
That's brilliant. I'm so getting excited. Me and Keenan Lesh, he was the captain of Vasco, and the season at Vasco into the PSL. Me and him used to do that during the games, discuss and just like, what do we do right now? So that's why what you're saying is getting me excited. And I know this quote that says, not quote, people talk a lot about communication,
Mm,
but I think they don't talk about comprehension. So when you're communicating, you need to understand what somebody else is saying. So I mean, that's brilliant
yeah.
that you were able to go back and then have a discussion, because you have a certain way of thinking, the defenders have a certain way of thinking. So trying to get onto the same page is really hard, and it does take discussion.
Yeah, and I mean it's. I mean, over this like small amount of time that we played as a team, like we've grown so much, because I mean, our left back, he's from Wales. He has a different way of thinking. Our left centre back, he's from Colombia. Our right centre back, he's from England. our right back, he's from Scotland. So like, and we were like all first years, and it was only
Sure.
the captain from Colombia that was like he was the most experienced player on the team.
Sure.
So we would talk a lot. We made lots of mistakes on the field. Like we made lots of mistakes, but we'd always say, "Okay, now we know, so we're learning."
Sure.
So that was definitely something that we did as a team. And I mean, it was tough because like we all different, man. And
Yes.
and I mean, for me, that's always loud, and sometimes I shout unnecessarily on the field, but I would tell him like, hey, if I shout, like, don't take note of me, man, because sometimes I know I like I do shout unnecessarily, so you mustn't still take it serious. But nah, it was yeah, that's a,
So, I mean, you guys sound, your whole unit, you guys sound mature way beyond your years, and it's only first years. And for you to be able to say something like that, although I know sometimes you might be shouting, not, it's just something that encourages you for shouting. So, be able to communicate that clearly to your defender is amazing. To be able to say, listen, I am going to shout, but don't take it personally, because people do take it personally.
mm,
So, four different cultures at the back, and it sounds like constant communication is key.
yeah,
Would you
yeah,
agree?
yeah, definitely, yeah.
And what about knowing your strengths and knowing yourself? Like for you to say something like that, me, it takes vulnerability for you to say, listen, I know I do shout, but I know I do shout unnecessarily, but don't take it personally. What do you think about vulnerability? Do you think that's important for a team?
I think I think that's super important because when I talk to my players, I don't just say something because I want to say it, or I want to
Mm,
look like that cool guy, but I say it because for me as a player, something that I realized is I need I need things like off the field, like the relationship off the field to be good for us to play well
sure.
as a team, you
Yeah.
know?
You create that. How did you start to create that? You need off the field relationships in order to perform on the field.
I think that's something that I realized like probably for the last 2 years, you know? Because I mean, I don't know, man. It's just something that I know that I had to discover as a person, you know?
Mm,
I mean, if I look at like Ubuntu, for instance,
mm,
like we have such a good relationship off the field that we click, man, on the field, you know. And even when I played in
mm,
the Vodacom team, like I don't know, I feel
mm,
like so many things off the field impacts what you do on the field as a team, you know. Because if you're gonna have
mm,
activity on the field with a person,
mm.
like how are you gonna play with him? How are you gonna
Of
be
course.
able to? I mean, yeah. So I mean, like, let's say you and another centre back had like an argument off the field, and you guys still haven't like, how are you gonna communicate to each other on the field? You know.
What
So
was
for
there
me,
ever moments that you had to sort of rebuild a relationship, or yeah, not
um,
rebuild is not the word, but I mean, yeah,
um, I,
make
I think in the beginning definitely because I mean, like as as colored people, we will now say like, oh come on, man, like. But I,
uh,
would- I wouldn't do that to kill him, man. So I would tell him like, hey, I might say this, so don't don't yeah. It's It's really, I
We,
don't know, man. It's small
you
details, man. Like
you're describing it perfectly. You're describing it perfectly. We all come from different backgrounds. My way of motivating you, because I came from a background, this is how I was motivated. So sometimes what we do is we take that same way that we've learned, um, how somebody's tried to motivate us within our cultural context, within our environment, and we motivate others in that way.
mm,
But without realizing that that person might not want to be motivated in that way.
mm,
That person might need some other form of motivation, but it's still difficult because this is how we were taught. So, I mean, what you've done there, you've sort of married those two things, those two tensions, that you want to be yourself. This is how I was raised. This is how I motivate. But at the same time, you explain this and you were able to communicate this to your teammate to say, don't take it harshly, or don't take it that I'm trying to kill you or I'm trying to press it down. This is my way of motivating you. No?
mm. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And I think for me, and I'm very similar, I think we all have that need. But what happens is we don't really discuss that in this type of setting, because football, you're not supposed to talk about your emotions. You're not supposed to be vulnerable. You're not supposed to be aware of what is
Mhm.
going on with you. But that is the problem. Because for so long, I think the first half of my career, that's what I needed. I needed to be my off the field relationship
Mm,
with somebody had to be good for me to perform on the field.
mm,
But I was I was never able to marry that to until the second half of my career. I was able to
yeah,
marry that to, and like, okay, I really need to have a good relationship with somebody off the field, and that impacted me on the field. But it's a very, very hard thing to do.
yeah.
What do you recommend? How do you recommend players, teams, coaches? Because I think this is an important topic. What would you recommend? What is your advice to coaches or players or team managers, how to create that culture? You're laughing, but I think literally
No,
what you're
yeah.
doing is
I
we
think
misunderstand it.
I think for coaches, like I think it's important to create an atmosphere where it's okay if a player makes
Mm,
make a mistake, because if they play with that pressure, they're gonna
mm,
make a mistake, and then you're gonna shout at them, you know. So
mm,
they need to help the players out like that, because if a player is gonna play like in like if he plays like he knows if he makes a mistake, the coach is gonna shout at him, they're gonna bench him, then he's not
mm.
gonna perform,
Be
man.
free.
But
Mm,
if he doesn't have that pressure and he makes a mistake, okay, he gets the ball go back, he gets the ball quick back, you know,
mm,
he's gonna perform, like, you know.
mm, mm.
So
Do
I
you
huh?
go? You go.
No, it's fine.
Do you think it's important to know, because like you discussed, you hit the nail on the head with in terms of for players now. So if you're thinking of peers or colleagues, it's important to communicate, because people are not on the same wavelength. No?
Mm,
So people don't understand why you're saying certain things, and it's important for you to articulate why you're saying certain things. So not just you, so it's important to articulate um, your needs, and it's important to articulate what your personality is about. Do you think it's important as well, because sometimes as a player we don't necessarily understand what the coach is thinking. So sometimes we get instructions, but we don't understand why that instruction was given. So
mm.
would it be easier? Do you think that also has to happen from a player and a coach's point of view, where players have to sort of understand what the coach is thinking, coaches have to understand what
Mm.
players are thinking?
I definitely I think that there should be that that space for players to ask the coach that tough decisions, you
Mm,
know, because
mm,
I mean, if a coach if a coach sets out the formation on the
mm,
board. And I mean, a player has because I mean, let's say the player never saw the formation before. Like
mm,
he should be able to ask, like, so what if something breaks down in the right back? What do I have to do to come in, or something like that? So I
mm,
feel like for the whole team to be on the same side, knowing
mm,
if something goes wrong, know what to do
mm,
to win the ball back. Like
mm,
there should be that space for players to ask
mm,
tough questions and the coach to answer those tough questions.
mm. Because, like you alluded to earlier, that everybody comes from a different playing environment, even. So, that right back or left back or striker has a certain way of doing things that is probably done for the last 12 years. And there's a reason why he's done that. So, understanding from the strikers or the left back or the
Mm,
right back's point of view why they play the way they play, and then sort of trying to find out what the coach wants and trying to marry that to. So, and I mean, it definitely needs
yeah,
space,
yeah,
space to make mistakes, space
yeah,
to talk about, space to get onto the same page.
yeah, definitely. Yeah,
But I think you guys, from the culture you guys are creating, is definitely not easy in football. We know, you know how it is. It's definitely not an easy thing to do, to develop a culture like you guys are developing. So clear to see that you are developing is definitely difficult, but I think you guys are doing it. I
mm,
think you guys are definitely doing the right thing. I think what you're doing is amazing. I think bringing that part to the team is amazing. Is there anything that you want to end off with, or?
um, so I feel like over the like I look at I look at my brother's like career. I look at
Mm,
so many other players' career, and
mm,
I mean, whoever's listening to this now, I just want to say, like, never let a coach define how good you are, because the coach, the coach doesn't know your background. He doesn't know what struggles you've been through. He doesn't know how disappointed you are, or like
mm,
you've been. He doesn't know like what sacrifices you had to make to maybe leave your kid and come
mm,
all this way to play for him. Like,
mm,
so, like, never, because he doesn't know you. He
mm,
doesn't know what you've been through. So never let a coach define how good you are.
mm.
And 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 the last thing, man, yeah, I miss home.
And we miss you, and we miss you.
Yeah, but
And I believe,
nah, what you say?
I believe we definitely miss you. I believe the experiences you are getting in your backpack is gonna help you a lot, a long. It's gonna take you a long way. It's gonna help you a lot. But I also believe somebody told me this. He was staying here in South Africa and then he moved to America. He moved back to America and he said if he wasn't in South Africa, he wouldn't have the medicine. No? He
Mm,
wouldn't have the medicine that was needed to make a change over there. So I think you've got a hell of a lot of medicine. So, and you are dishing it out. And it's so encouraging to see the impact and the story that you're making in the States at your school. And I don't think I need to tell you this, but you're definitely ambassador for South Africa, making a big difference there in America. And don't forget that you just as much as you're receiving there, you are also giving. So thank you very much for joining us and for coming on the show and for unpacking how culture and how adapting to culture can affect your performance. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
yeah. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Mr. Almagan.